All those little baby bluegill. Oh, I wonder who's the stronger one here.
Hey, I want more water.
Oh, okay. That's what it was. Well, what's up, guys? It's Daniel from Arms Family Homestead, and as you can see, we are out here bright and early. The sunrise is just starting to happen over the top of the pond, and today's a very special day. Today's a very significant day in the story of our 4-acre bass pond rebuild. July 7th of 2024, Houston and I drove across our old pond dam and saw buzzards flying around all over towards the back of the dam, or the back of the pond, and went back and discovered some devastating news. We had a major fish kill and found multiple big largemouth bass floating and buzzards eating all of our fish, and that ultimately led to the decision to cut the pond dam, drain the pond, and rebuild it. After years of thinking about it and talking about it and wanting to do it, I finally just made the decision to start over. This pond was about 1.5 acres and was built sometime in the early 90s. I'm not positive. I was too young to remember exactly when it was, but I always dreamed of having something bigger. And we didn't really have a better place than right here. So we cut the dam and spent the next year rebuilding this pond. And we've brought you guys along for the entire process. And we had our struggles, we had our ups and downs, we had delays, we had problem after problem after problem. But that's okay. Because guess what? Today, I'm standing here on a concrete spillway next to a floating dock that sets on 4 acres of water that's completely full of prime bass habitat. So today we celebrate a little bit. Today we celebrate finishing a project and coming full circle. So that's why today's video is significant to me and special. I've got a guy on his way here right now from Arkansas that owns a company called Arkansas Pond Stalkers. Today's video is sponsored by Arkansas Pond Stalkers because they reached out to me last fall and said, when you get ready for fish, call us. So Tyler's on his way with a fish truck, and our biggest obstacle lately, we've been trying to stock the pond for about a month and a half, but the rain has been relentless. And when it rains, it gets muddy, and we don't have the best access to this pond for a large, heavy flatbed truck. So we've had to put it off multiple times because of the rain. And finally we set a date and we're like, okay, we got to figure this out. We got to get it stocked before it gets too hot. Today's Monday. It rained on Thursday and then dried out all weekend. No, I'm sorry, today's Tuesday. Today's Tuesday morning. It rained on Thursday, dried out all weekend. Monday night, it rained. Let's see how much it rained last night. Look at this. It was dry enough to get over here on with any truck yesterday, and we got almost 2 inches of rain last night. Ugh. Not griping about the rain. It's just going to make this process difficult and muddy. But they drove here yesterday evening from Arkansas with a truckload of fish and stayed in a hotel. And now we have no choice but to figure out how to get all of these fish from somewhere over there, wherever we can get to, into the pond. So here we go. So with 2 inches of rain last night, this whole process is going to take a little time because there's no way we're putting this giant truck down any road that accesses our pond right now. So we're going to have to do buckets, buckets of fish in the back of the side-by-side and take them down there a little at a time. You know, typically if somebody delivers fish, they can actually put a tube on the side of that holding tank and just shoot them all out into the pond. Obviously, that's not going to be the case here. Even if it was completely dry, we're going to have to transfer them a little ways, but we'll get them there. We've got 3,000 copper-nosed bluegill.
3,500.
3,500 copper-nosed bluegill, and then fathead minnows and golden shiners.
Yes, sir.
How many pounds of each?
We got 40 pounds of fathead minnows and 40 pounds of shiners.
So 40 pounds each. So that's a lot of bait. We're not putting bass in the pond today. Other than the few that these two guys have transferred from the creek, we've not stocked it with any bass. We don't want a bunch of predators in there right now. We want these bluegill to grow. We want the minnows to spawn and spread, and we want as much food to populate in this pond for the bass as possible. And then we'll come back either in the fall or early spring and actually put the predators in there, put the bass in there in large numbers. If we dumped in 300 bass right now that were, say, 10, 12 inches long, they might wipe out a lot of that bait population before they ever get a chance to really establish. So we're going to start this process. We're going to take them down there a bucket load at a time. I think he's got 8 buckets with bubblers, and we'll get them down to the pond, start getting them acclimated, start mixing the water with some pond water into what they're carrying here, because these fish have been on the truck since yesterday morning.
That's correct, yep.
So Tyler here is not local to our area. That's a whole different state, which requires permits and planning and all that stuff to move fish from Arkansas to Oklahoma. But loaded fish yesterday, stayed in a hotel here in the area last night, and we'll get them put in the pond today.
Absolutely. Don't close it. So you could just stack them all in.
All those little baby bluegill.
Sir. Was it really? Okay. Coming up or nothing.
All right, Tyler. Tell me about copper-nosed bluegill. Why? Because I know some of my audience is not going to know anything about a copper-nosed bluegill. So what's the benefit, perk? Why do we want to use copper-nose?
So copper-nosed bluegill typically get bigger if they're growing in the same environment as a northern bluegill. They are a lot more aggressive, which is a lot more fun to catch. They do really well in warmer climates, so the water temperature is not going to be a factor here. We're in a good spot for copper-nose in this part, but it's a lot more fun to catch copper-nose, basically, is the long and the short of it.
Yep. So they're aggressive feeders. They grow fast, and they're fun to catch.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good combination.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my next question. This is a very large truck that's obviously probably not going to park on a pond dam a lot of places. So how do you do most of your sales? I mean, I've seen a lot of fish trucks deliver straight to the pond, and you could in this truck, but what's your main avenue if somebody wants to buy from you?
So we got Arkansas in the name, but we have hundreds of locations in 13 states across the South and the Midwest. So chances are there's going to be a stop near you. You just meet us at the feed store. The fish truck has a certain time and day that they're going to be there. Place an order with us ahead of time, or you can do a walk-up order. But we package the fish up with water and oxygen in plastic bags, and you just take them straight to your pond and release them from there. And we also do like direct orders for like what we're doing for you right now. It's usually for like larger orders or special catered kind of deal. But yeah, most of it's just walk up and buy your fish and go about your day.
Yeah, most of your sales, most generally, people just find you at a feed store, meet you there, plan it ahead of time, say I want this many bass, this many bluegill, this many minnows.
That's right, yeah.
Cool.
You just call us and find your closest fish.
What all fish species do you sell?
So we got largemouth bass, channel catfish, black crappie. We got hybrid and regular bluegill. We can special order copper nose and golden shiners. We've also got white amur grass carp for the places that you can have them. But a lot of times, especially if you're doing a direct order or a catered order, we can get you just about anything you want.
Cool. That's neat. What else you want? What other kind of fish do we need?
Paddlefish. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we're not doing that.
Sorry.
We do, yes. We will be getting red ear eventually. We had a bunch of red ear in the pond before, and that was one of the things. We had some parasite problems, and the red ear shell cracker, obviously, were we put those in to control the snails and things, and not on this order, but we will be getting some red ear eventually for sure.
For sure, yeah. It gets a good amount of diversity in a pond's always good, so even having a couple species of bluegill in there is paramount. Stop.
That's a lot of minnows. Hey, hang on, little guy. I'll save you.
I saw that, yeah. It actually,
All right. We'll head down to the pond with the first few buckets. Got bubblers going in them. Trying to keep them oxygenated as well as we can to get them there as fast as possible. But there's a lot of fish in each bucket, so we'll get them there.
Houston and Cody, if y'all want to grab a bucket and start acclimating, you definitely can.
Just splash a little water in there with your non-injured hand, Houston.
So, there's going to be about a 10-degree difference, it looks like. Not a big deal. That's why we wanted to do it early in the morning. We got like 69-degree water. Probably. What do you think, Wade? We forgot to bring the thermometer.
I'm gonna say right on 76.
Yeah. I'm gonna test you on that. We're bringing the thermometer back up.
I say 83.
All right. I want to make sure we don't play around with the minnows too long. They're always packed in.
Starting to swim out, aren't they?
Oh yeah, they're doing good.
There's always going to be a certain percentage of loss. I mean, you're transferring fish from one body of water to another. We know there's going to be a few lost, but really it looks pretty good considering the situation of how we got to get them here.
Yeah, they're doing really good.
Yeah, it's just part of it. That's why we always load extra when we're doing something like this, because it's part of the business. You're going to lose some of them, especially fathead minnows. Golden shiners too. You're not going to get all of them. Over here, I'll trade you. Okay, yeah, we're getting pretty close.
They're trying to swim out.
When you fill that water and it is almost the same temperature in your hand, then you can just pump the bucket over and just let them swim out on their own. I might have to take the water out of this one. But they look like they're doing great already.
Yeah, doing a lot better.
Yeah, I'll definitely take that rain.
Yeah, for real.
Over the hot weather for sure. Even if we can't get the truck back here.
Well, this bucket pretty well all swam off. They didn't do too bad at all.
No. As long as they're not freaking out on the top of the water, then you're good to go. You know you've stocked them really well. But we also got a 3-day guarantee on all of our fish. So if something does in fact happen to your fish this week, you best believe you'll be filming us coming back to replace them.
What would cause that? If they you know, do really good today and they all swim off like these are starting to do really well, what would, you know?
The big concern is something happened during transport. They got exposed to something they shouldn't have. But that is extremely rare. We don't ever have just a large amount of that happen, but we want to make sure you're protected in the case that does happen. These are still on trade. Yeah, we'll have to load less of them, I think, next time.
Bluegill are all looking good, though.
Yeah, Jacobia, let's test these out. Yeah, see how they're swimming to the bottom? They're not freaking out on the surface, so let's let them loose.
Hang on, Kobe. Let's get those minnows first. Okay.
Well, this.
You can start dumping them.
What do you think, buddy? Looking good?
How's it feeling?
And it's still pretty different, but they're reacting okay.
Yeah, they going down.
Yeah. Taking a second to get them off. I'm trying to. Sometimes they don't want to swim out, so what you can do is pull the bucket up and down and just breathe them in and out. That'll get them going. Boom. Next time you'll see some of those, they'll be about that big. There we go. All right. Looking great. It's always important to go really slow doing this. There we go. Especially this time of year.
There's a few on the surface. You know, we got one or two floaters here and there, but considering you just dumped thousands and thousands of minnows in there, I only see a handful that didn't make it.
We aim for less than 1% wastage on those for sure. I mean, it's going to happen, but I'm extremely thrilled with this for sure. Yeah, we would have never got the truck down here.
Not even close. No.
Can't beat the cover situation either with all the standing timber and all that.
All right, loading up for trip number 2. This one's all the big trophy bass.
I wish.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
There's a 10-pounder in here, man.
Problem is, whoever finds it wins $1,000. So if you find the 10-pound bass, you win $1,000. Okay.
As long as I find something
All right, we're gonna double them up on bubblers this time because just didn't think they quite had enough oxygen in first go around. It's supposed to be rated for 3 gallons, but we're putting a lot of fish in those buckets. So, oh, I wonder who's the stronger one here.
Hey, I got more water.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
You know,
No, actually, look. It's only half full.
Uh-huh.
when I was a kid and we were loading trucks, if you weren't carrying 2 buckets, you weren't doing your job.
All right, 4 more buckets. Doubled up on bubblers. Should be good to go.
Yep. Oh yeah. Thanks for reminding me. 83. Twice.
Your guess is 83?
Yeah. What do you think? 80.2. Good guess.
80.2, 80 degree water on the surface now.
Yeah. It's a 9-degree temperature difference right
So we're
now.
71 in the bucket, but also that 80 drops pretty fast once you go a few inches down in the water. It drops off. It gets cooler quickly in there, so doing everything we can to acclimate them, get the water temperature to rise in the bucket, mix the water, just try to make everything as safe and healthy as we can for the fish, right?
We want to go slow with them, you know. The last thing I want is to stress these fish out. It hurts my heart when I see them struggle. So we're very careful everything we do when we do a direct stocking for sure. We always make sure when we get fish to somebody, they know how to do it. Right?
So what's the process look like for if you're going to bag them? You put oxygen and water in a bag and somebody brings those bags to their pond. What do they need to do differently?
Yeah, so it's pretty much the same, to be honest. Especially, we recommend people to bring a 5-gallon bucket with them when they do it, so they can just set it down in there and kind of do the same thing I'm doing right now. But honestly, it's just pretty much the same, especially this time of year. You want to go slow, kind of like we're doing now, just because of the water temperature difference, but relatively the same. We send you with a fish balloon, basically. It's pretty funny looking, actually.
So you keep talking about how it hurts your heart. You're pretty passionate about fish and ponds and these fish. I mean, these are your babies, but essentially, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, we've been doing this for over 30 years. My father and my grandfather founded the company, so I've been doing this my whole life. And you learn a lot. You know, it's something you start to get passionate about as you do it, and it's really cool in this situation because since you're on YouTube with this pond, I get to see these fish grow up.
Yep.
I get to see these fish hopefully get to the biggest potential they can, and I know that you're going to keep after this thing. So that's just really cool for me to see how this is going to progress, and you know, maybe even give you some recommendations along the way if you need them for what I'm seeing in your videos.
Trust me, I'll take all the advice I can get. I am not an expert in this stuff, so
Same here, you know.
our goal is our eventual goal is to have a trophy bass pond. We want as many big bass in here as possible. I built this thing in a way that with all the structure that Houston and Jacoby and whoever else can come over here and fish for hours and catch all kinds of bass. Now I do like the big trophy size copper nose bluegill, but obviously the end goal is big bass.
For sure.
So I'll take all the advice I can get.
Well, you're on your way for sure. Stocking down, you know, all of your bait fish and letting them establish and get a little bit bigger before you put your bass in is absolutely the way to go. You know, you don't ever want to do it in the opposite fashion for sure, but you know, you're starting out on the right foot for you, absolutely. 80, 75. So we want to get it within like a few degrees or so, but we also don't want to keep them in the bucket too long when we're doing this. Even though we do have 2 bubblers in there, it still stresses them out. So I like to get a few and test out and see what they do. And these are really well oxygenated, so you'll see that they start going to the bottom.
Yeah, every one of them but the one I followed went straight to the bottom.
Well, if they go too deep, you're not going to be able to find them for
Right.
sure. Yeah. That guy might be the 1% right there. I didn't like the way he acted, but like I said, it's part of it. Oh, there's a big one right there.
Mm-hmm.
There's your spawner.
So how long, at this size of minnows right here, how long before they spawn and how frequently will these fathead minnows?
It'll be between 6 months to a year probably. I mean, these things don't get very big. They get like 1.5 inches, 2 inches at the biggest a lot of times. So the thing that works against them is they look after their young, which makes them a lot easier targets than say the shiners. So they end up getting eaten a lot of times before they can replace their numbers. For anybody that stocks fathead minnows as their bait fish, we recommend that they stock at least about 10 pounds per acre per year, depending on how many bass they have in the pond, or crappie or anything else that's eating catfish. But it's just a good shot in the arm for your protein availability in your pond to put these in every year.
What are you doing, Kelsey?
But hopefully, and like I said, we're starting off on the right foot. Your shiners are going to establish. They're broadcast spawners, which means they don't look after their young, which means they're not as easy as a target. And they also, anybody that knows anything about shiners, they make big balls of bait out in a body of water, which kind of helps protect them, believe it or not, even though they're all crowded together. So with any luck, and we're putting ourselves in the right position, they should establish a population that re-establishes itself. Yeah, this is looking great. Just kind of breathe them in and out. They always want to go upstream. This is natural instinct, which is why I'm glad you have that that spillway that's going to have the screen.
Yep. I don't have a screen on it yet. I talked to the guy yesterday in there. He's working on it. We just don't have it built yet.
For sure.
Well, Tyler, that was a giant bucket of fathead minnows, and I've not found a dead one out of that whole bucket. There's one on the surface that's struggling right here, and this guy's thinking about it. Oh, well, that one. Oh, there he goes. He's back on the surface.
Yeah.
I don't see a dead one in the whole bucket. That's pretty impressive.
Appreciate it. Yeah, but like I said, next 3 days, if anything happens, we're right back here. We're doing a great job on time. Oh, yeah. That water temp being 80 isn't messing with us hardly at all.
So this load's golden shiners. A little bit different than a fathead minnow, but still a really good bait food source for a bass population when they finally do make it into the pond.
AKA bass can.
I don't mind being the cameraman. This is kind of a good job here. Let Kobe do all the heavy lifting. Houston struggles to carry the bucket though. It's a little too heavy for him. He's got to get a little more weight to carry this stuff around.
When I was your age, I was carrying 3 buckets at a time. I had a chain wrapped around me with a bucket on. No, I always say this, but go slow. You got no reason to get in a hurry. Daniel was nice enough to put us in the shade this time.
That's right. We come to the other side of the pond. I said, we'll go get a better look at a different area of the pond. I said, really, honestly, we're just going to go to the shade because this Oklahoma sun gets hot in a hurry. Boy, you better keep that finger out of the water. Your doctor will be all over me. Yeah. So that's the joy of a small town. I told Houston yesterday when we went to the doctor, I said, I graduated high school with her. We grew up together. We couple skated at the skating rink. So you start messing up, and she said, don't you get in that pond. Don't you get in the creek. I said, she's going to know. She's going to know. She only lives about 3 miles from us. She might come and whoop us if you get that infected finger down in this pond water.
This stuff balances itself a lot of times, for sure.
That water in that bucket's definitely still colder.
And look why we brought the bubblers in. I wish I would have got to test out the acclimated.
Here's a few. They're trying to jump out. So these are all golden shiners and not necessarily fathead minnows. A little different breed of fish, but will serve the same purpose, just a little different way. There's a dead one. Do you think the golden shiners are a little bit more sensitive than fathead minnows?
Fathead minnows definitely haul better in the truck. Shiners we typically only do for direct deliveries like this because of that. But I think these are doing absolutely perfect. Really like seeing them just go straight down.
Gotcha. That's a big girl there.
Good. And just like fathead minnows, you'll see a few dead ones, but it's less than 1%. There's tens of thousands of these. Got that one. Yeah, there's some big ones in there. Relative to the rest of them.
There's a few floaters, but I would say I see less than 10 out of 10,000 or so.
Less than 1% for sure, and that's exceptional in my opinion.
All right, down to the last 2 buckets. I think this is trip number 4, right?
Number 4.
Last 2 buckets of shiners. How's it feel?
Feels like I want to go catch a bass.
Well, you're not going to catch one out of the pond today, more than likely.
Nah.
Borrow that.
Unlike
Right.
and then they got this sun article.
So it's pretty easy to find concentrations out there. Man.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We found a bunch.
What you doing, Kelsey?
Going like,
Just living your best life? All right, good talk. Yeah. And you helping, Kelsey? You about ready to go, Kobe?
Yeah.
Right. When's his Elite Series debuted, you know?
If somebody wants to stock their pond, how do they find you? How do they find Arkansas Pond Stalkers?
So the thing about Arkansas Pond Stalkers is we're old school. We don't really believe in online forums. We want to have real conversations with people about their pond and lake. So we encourage you to give us a call. It's 870-578-9773. Like I said, we can do direct deliveries to ponds like this, but most of you are going to find us at feed stores, 13 states. So we'll probably have one next to you, but we're also on ArkansasPondStalkers.com if you have any information you want to find out. But yeah, that's pretty much. We would love to stock your pond or lake. Just give us a shout anytime. My name's Tyler. You can ask for me personally. I talk about ponds all day and I love it. I never get sick of it. So just give me a shout.
So what if somebody has an old pond on their property and they don't know what's in it? They don't know what to put in it. They just know they got maybe some grandkids that want to catch some fish.
Yeah.
Can you guide them in the right direction? I mean, I feel like I have a little bit of experience and knowledge and knew what I wanted to do. Some folks don't have a clue. They may come out here and just say, well, throw a bunch of crappie in there because my kids like to eat crappie.
Well, yeah, we'll put you in the right direction for sure. And if we don't know the answer to your question, we know who to ask. So that's one of the advantages of us is we know where to point you if you do have an issue with your pond. Obviously, like in some situations, you want to kind of start over. It's not ideal, but we try to save you from that if at all possible. So
You didn't save us from that.
Well, we started over because we wanted a lot bigger pond, mainly.
I know, it was a joke.
no, the work y'all did on this, I followed along on YouTube, man. Just the sheer amount of effort that y'all put into this to make it into a bass factory. You absolutely did a ton of right things to get this thing together. I cannot wait to see these fish grow up.
Yeah.
And the next like 2 or 3 years, y'all are going to have a bass factory, I guarantee you. Honestly, the next step that I would do for y'all is get some feeders out of here.
Yep.
Getting some feed into those copper noses is going to make them get bigger faster. And then the other thing is just time. Y'all have got a few bass that you stock in here that shouldn't really put a dent, but those bass are going to be monster because they have all the fours in the world. But just waiting to put in predatory species is probably the smartest thing you can do at this point.
Would you recommend waiting until fall, or are we so far enough into the year would you recommend spring? And what size bass?
I would say you wait. When we start talking about getting bass in here next year, if you do it in the spring, I would say see how big your copper nose are, because copper nose are opportunistic feeders. If they can eat a 1 to 3 inch bass, we probably need to go a little bit bigger. Maybe a 3 to 4 inch is probably going to be the safest route. But just wait and see. Like I said, time is going to be the one big factor here, and time will tell what you need in this pond for sure.
Gotcha. Cool. Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for making the trip over. I know it was a long drive, and I'm excited. I can't wait to see these boys catching bass out of this pond, catching 1 pound bluegill even.
Absolutely.
We had them before, and we'll do it again.
Absolutely. I'll be watching for sure. I can't wait to see these bass grow up, man.
Well, folks, there you have it. We fought the mud and got all the fish put in the pond, and it was 3,500 copper-nosed bluegill and about 80 pounds of bait fish out here to do their thing. Yeah, there's a few bass in here that Houston and Jacoby have put in here, but not enough to really make a big dent in that big of a population of bait fish. So the next step is to get some feeders set up. I'm going to do 2 separate feeders probably. I haven't got that all lined out logistically just yet, but these bluegill are tiny right now, so they're really not eating very big feed anyway, so I can hand feed them for a while, a couple times a day, until we get some big automatic feeders set up. But guys, I'm pumped about this pond project. You guys know this is like a passion project of mine for the last year, and to see it where it is now compared to where we were at a year ago it's like an emotional thing for me. It's so weird because it's just a big puddle of water, but it's taken a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of resources to get to where we are. And we're just getting started. Like, we are not at a point where this is a fishable fishery. And it's going to take a couple more years to really see all that come to fruition. And we haven't even stocked the bass in here yet, other than just a few that the boys put in. But we'll get there. And every little project that's being completed now is just like another notch in the belt that I'm proud of. When it came to building this thing, it was a little bit overwhelming. It was, I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. And then hiring Cody from Oklahoma Dream Ponds of Oklahoma, I think, having his expertise here in the actual build process made me feel a lot better. And then when it came to the spillway, we had our issues and problems, but we got it fixed, And now we've got this big, beautiful dock out here that we can come sit on in the evenings or the mornings. And now getting it stocked with fish. I can't wait until, a month or two from now when we have fish feeders set up and when they go off and the water just boils with bluegill. And, in a year or two, we'll be catching some giant copper-nosed bluegill. We had some bluegill in here in the old pond that were right at that 1 pound mark, and we'll get there again. It's going to take a little while. And eventually we're going to have 3, 4, 5 pound bass in here. And it's so cool. And I do want to say a huge thank you to Tyler and all the crew at Arkansas Pond Stalkers. I mean, he drove 8 hours over here to deliver fish to us. And that's cool. That's awesome. I love meeting people like that. I love getting to know business owners like that. They're a small family business, and they just want to help. And I appreciate that because they know a lot more about stocking a pond than I do. So I look forward to maybe a long-time friendship and business deal with them. Who knows? They're trying to broaden their spectrum and do other things when it comes to pond products, as far as different types of things to make a fishery like this better, and what all that means and what all that looks like. And if nothing else, it's good to have somebody that I can call with the expertise to go, hey, I don't know what's going on here. What do I need to do? And I like that. So anyways, got a lot going on. It's just 9:30 in the morning and we've got a full busy day planned out. So I'm going to wrap this thing up. But guys, I want to say thank you to Arkansas Pond Stalkers. Thank you to all of you viewers out there watching this whole pond series unfold, all the ups and downs and the drama and the heartaches and the victories that have come in building a pond. So bizarre to me. But for the most part, the vast majority of our audience has loved this pond build series, and it's not over. It is really just the beginning with this pond, and that's exciting for me. But I'm ready to do it again. I want to build another one. This is a 4-acre pond. I want to do it more. I want to find a piece of property that could hold a 10-acre lake. That'd be fun. It'd be a challenge, and not be a good business move for us. I don't know what that looks like. So anyways, guys, I'm breathing a little easier now, knowing that we're getting fish in here. We're getting fish in the pond. It's going to take a little while to grow them, but they're going to do their thing. The bait's going to multiply. The bluegill are going to grow. And then whenever we do finally stock bass in here, they're going to have all the food they need to grow to their full potential. And it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun thing to watch and to see and to learn and all the things. So anyways, it's going to wrap it up for me today. Remember, do something today to make somebody smile, because you never know. It just might change the world. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. You guys have a great day. And as always, we'll see you on the next video.